We're going on a date sans people. We're not even going.
Bridle, trained to be tame. Nature gave a new name. Source to nurture the world. Ready, sing a new tune.
This feels kind of strange recording in the studio again. I feel like I haven't been in here in forever. I really started to record this video and act like we're about to go on this trip, but I'm a terrible actress. I didn't even make an attempt at it because you will totally see through it. I would look even cheesier than I normally do. So I'm starting this video today after our trip to tell you that you're about to see a weekend kind of date trip that my husband and I went on that was a little bit off the beaten path. One of my coworkers had actually recommended the Viking Cooking School to us in Greenwood, Mississippi, which I had never been there before. But my husband surprised me and booked a date night class.
We need to season the pork, not just yet. We're gonna pat dry with some paper towels first. But what we do want to do is go ahead and
If you go on their website, just a few recommendations if you're looking at doing the Viking cooking classes. I would say if you are wanting to learn, I would not book the date night class. And that's not because there was anything wrong. It's just, there were two classes going on. It's a really nice facility. And it seemed like maybe the non-date night class was a little bit more structured, and that's, I haven't taken that class, but that's just kind of the impression that I got. With that being said, do you really want a structured class if you're doing a date night? It's very clear now, the overlap. I'm also not always the most social person, and I was really pleasantly surprised at the people in the class with us. We had a lot of fun, everybody got along well. I really liked our teacher, her name was Melissa, and she was a lot of fun. You got a timer for the raviolis?
I got one going.
Do we need it like a slotted spoon or like some top?
She said it should be a little strainer.
I think everybody that works at the cooking school is all locals. Viking has some manufacturing facilities still in the Greenwood, Mississippi area. They oftentimes, these classes, people drive from all over. There was people from like 3 or 4 different states, I think, in our class. So if you see a class that you want to take and it is booked up, they do have a wait list. If you see a class that's booked up, give them a call and get on the wait list. Melissa even talked about that during our class. That's the trick. If you want to get into certain classes, you just got to get on the wait list.
look, no touching me.
Ours was like an open-faced lobster ravioli, a pork tenderloin, which was excellent. And I can't remember the name of the dessert. I have the menu. But yeah, I don't know if I'll make any of those at home, but we had a lot of fun. And then if you're staying at the hotel there, the cooking class is actually just right across the street, but it's not like a busy roadway. You're like in like a small downtown area. And so you just walk across the street, and there's a few stores. There was a couple antique stores, and there was a landscape design and, sorry, it's been storming here. There was a landscape design and kind of like a garden, and they had some vintage items. I really enjoyed going in the shop. It was called Osmanthus. I really loved that shop. The entire aesthetic was, you know, just everything that I like to look at. So if you are down there, I highly recommend checking that shop out. The landscape design portion was closed, but I do think they travel all over the South and do landscape design. So I'm really excited. That was really right up my alley. So we had a couple nights. And the first night we drove down to Greenwood and we took our class and we spent the night in Greenwood, and we had already booked a room in Natchez, Mississippi, but we kind of took the scenic route. We avoided the interstate and we went to Vicksburg, Mississippi. All right, so we left Greenwood and we're headed to Vicksburg, Mississippi. It's been about an hour and a half. We're actually going to stop at a couple of antique stores, so I'll try to film a little bit, or I'm going to see if Luke can help film. But we're going to see what we get into. I think it's going to be fun. The Old Depot Museum. And then we stopped at an antique shop called the Open Market. I highly recommend this as well. I really like checking out antique shops in different areas. It's funny to see how it's almost like if you do any thrifting, and people talk about, I don't know, like Goodwills, they have different personalities depending on what area of the country you're in and the community. Well, antique shops are the same way. And I think it's neat to see kind of the personality of the community. So we stopped at the Open Market in Vicksburg, and I did pick up a couple things there. I love those, but they're not sturdy. And then you'll see my favorite find was an antique mason duck decoy, which sent me down a whole rabbit hole, but it is from a collector that originally lived in Memphis, Tennessee. And then the seller in Natchez actually had several of his pieces, so I'm not sure if when he passed away, maybe there was some kind of auction. I'm sure there was, but also a portion of this collection is located inside the pyramid in Memphis. Just kind of researching the history of those was really fun. I went down a whole rabbit hole with that, but I'm really happy with that find. But they had a lot of nice furniture pieces, and they had a lot of high-end antiques as well. But they had just a whole range from one end of the spectrum to the other. They also had a lot of signage and antique vending machines. They had a ton of Coca-Cola. So the market itself is actually part of an old Coca-Cola factory. I would love to have a vintage Coca-Cola vending machine. I think that would be so cool. So that was just a really quick stop in Vicksburg. And then we continued on to Natchez. Natchez has the largest collection of surviving antebellum homes in the whole United States. And we actually learned a lot about the history of Natchez while we were there. We stayed, first of all, at the Monmouth Historic Inn. I highly recommend that. A lot of the historic homes in Natchez, if you want to stay inside the home, you might end up with a shared bathroom, which is not okay with me. I don't know how else to say that, but getting up in the middle of the night and having to go to a bathroom down a hallway where there's other people just really weirds me out. All their rooms have private bathrooms, and they have a lot of cottages, and then they have an on-site breakfast dining area, which is included in your room. That was super nice. And then the restaurant there is really, really good. And the gardens are really beautiful. They're very well designed. And I loved it. Yeah, that's part of the reason that we wanted to do this trip. I like to get out of my bubble a lot, and I like to just find inspiration, because sometimes, you know, I just get a little bit in my own head. And we have quite a bit of property here that I'm planning on designing for some kind of use. I'm not sure what that's gonna end up being right now, but yeah, just getting some inspiration for the design of the gardens and just that feel. It's just really nice. It gives you a fresh perspective, and it had me coming home really thinking about some things that I can incorporate into our own garden here. So that's really exciting. Oh my goodness. I am in love with this place. Luke's going to check in. We just got to Natchez. Feel like I'm totally in my element. Can y'all see that? Oh my gosh. I'm such a loser. I love it so much. We were gonna go walk around downtown tonight, but I think we may eat dinner here and stay close by. So
If you want to go through these and then go there, right there.
Natchez is also a stop on the new Viking River cruise, which heads up the Mississippi. And it seems like the residents of Natchez are really excited about that. I think it's bringing in a lot of revenue to the city and just raising awareness of how special this is, the area. There's also a lot of Spanish history in Natchez, so Spanish colonial structures that are still surviving today. And from what I understand, don't quote me on this because I'm not a huge history fanatic, but the Civil War never impacted the city of Natchez, and it was kind of like neutral ground. It's really, I think, beautiful to see all those amazing homes. You can tell the community takes a lot of pride, and it was just super calm. We walked a lot. I think a lot of the homeowners in Natchez have done a really good job of keeping things as original as possible, the materials they've used, and yeah, there's a lot of the homes there that are open for tours. A lot of them don't charge anything, and there's a lot of things there that we were not there long enough to take advantage of. And then we also went to Melrose, which is a historic plantation. I thought that I would grab my duck and show you guys. This is a mason duck, and the collector actually apparently had labels on his whole collection, so this is from the collection of Terry Smart and Memphis, Tennessee, and he actually had this numbered. It says Mason 29, but from what I understand, this was like the 29 is of his collection. I don't think it means anything, but you can kind of see that label there. But yeah, apparently he co-authored some books on these decoys, and yeah, he's definitely not in perfect condition. You can see he's missing this lead weight on the bottom. I think his bill's been through it, and yeah, I think he may have had his paint touched up a little bit. I'm not sure, but again, I'm not a avid decoy collector. I really just wanted something with a little character to put in our home, but once I picked it up and did a little research, I found it pretty interesting. I've also got the book behind me that I picked up. I picked this one up in the antique store in Natchez. I did look through it a little bit once I got it home. So I'm just gonna read this really quick. The Natchez Pilgrimage. In azalea time each spring, Natchez recaptures the plantation era. When cotton was king, the mere name of Natchez was something to conjure with. So fabulous was the wealth concentrated there in the first half of the 19th century that its homes were the show places of the entire Mississippi riverfront. Nowhere else was there so large a number of distinguished homes in a single community. Then came the Civil War, the depletion of land by too steady planting to a single crop, and the growth of railroads to replace river transportation. And Natchez began a steady downward cycle until, by the early years of this century, there remained little of the old grandeur except the houses. It is ironical that only the poverty of Natchez saved them from being ruined by modernizations. But the home that is pictured right here is actually Melrose, which is really interesting because now it is a national military park. I think it's a federal park. It's not state. But in this book, which was published in 1964, it says tree-sized camellias, glossy magnolias flank the classically beautiful pillared portico of Melrose, the home of Mrs. G.M.D. Kelly. So apparently, and again, I haven't done research on all this, but apparently in 1964, when this book was published, this was still a private residence. So that's pretty neat. I really had a lot of fun. Just getting outside of our bubble and going off the beaten path. And I guess it's kind of obvious to most of you, but Natchez, Mississippi is the end of the Natchez Trace, which is a highway that goes, I'm not sure where the northern portion stops, but I know it goes pretty close to where we live, through Nashville, but then it goes down through the state of Mississippi and ends in Natchez, Mississippi. And if you're familiar with any Native American history, which is a big part of my heritage, yeah, the Trail of Tears is commemorated on the Natchez Trace, and we drove a large portion of our way home on the Natchez Trace, which is probably not the most exciting drive in the world, but it is so peaceful, and I'm thankful that they have preserved that area. It reminds me that there's a lot of things to go and see and do that are not on Instagram, and people aren't really talking about it a lot, so it's not crazy crowded. If everybody goes to the same things, then we're all just gonna be in a big crowd, and we're all gonna be miserable, and we're all gonna miss out on a lot of really interesting sights and a lot of fun road trips, and that's what this was all about, is us getting off the beaten path and finding something new and spending time with each other, of course, but you know, just getting out of that bubble. It's really important. So thank you guys for watching this video. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel, because I think about 80% of the people watching my videos are not subscribed, and it does help the YouTube algorithm. Also, liking the video, just like everything else right now, a lot of stuff is AI, so they use that information and that data to direct who my videos are shown to. So if you subscribe to my channel, it's not just about showing it to you, it will help show it to other people as well. So I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time. I'm kind of relaxing a little bit and trying to enjoy the first part of the summer. I'm gonna have hopefully some garden content for the next video. I've got some things in the works, some ideas that I have, but I'm not 100%, so I don't wanna set up any expectations and then may not be able to deliver. But I've kind of tried to give myself some grace in the beginning of the summer, and my goal is to try to be around that 2-week mark for posting videos for now, only because I'm still learning, and I would rather post higher quality videos and just content in general that, you know, that is logical, that makes sense, and may not rush the editing process. Make sure that it's something that you're gonna wanna watch. So bear with me. I can tell that I'm getting better, and we'll see how all this goes. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys. What if I stuck this out the window if it would eat? I think it would eat it off there.